Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore positive, mixing it up around here. We've had a lot of rock stars on lately with all these Canadian bands running around the country as well. But I'm still out doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. We will be at Coco's. I'm wearing the shirt next Thursday. I had a little coconut shrimp the other night. We'll be there on Thursday with our Maryland Lottery scratch offs and the Maryland Treasures. Also, our friends at GBMC doing the Safe Walk on Friday with them, walk a mile in their shoes for their program, which is very, very important, as well as our friends at Farnan and Dermer. This guy always makes a little time for me when he comes through. I think the first time I interviewed Bodeans was on the home tour when they played over Johns
Oh,
Hopkins and Shriver Hall many, many, many moons ago. Bodeans coming back to Ram's Head in Annapolis, one of my all-time favorite bands, one of my all-time favorite artists. Kurt Neumann always makes a little time down in Austin, Texas, where he calls home. I always think of you guys as Milwaukee guys, but I know it's been like a couple decades since you escaped Wisconsin. But it's always great when you come around. You always make time to come to this part of the country. And I know you're a huge fan in the Midwest and always have been, but always nice to be able to get out and see you play. And I know you have a little theme going on this time around with an anniversary for the band and for all the years of making this incredible music. And I'm looking forward to see what you have up your sleeve, Kurt.
yeah. Well, it's been a lot of years, as you mentioned, of going door to door, knocking on people's doors, saying, "Hey, you want to hear a couple songs?" And we sing songs for everybody. But yeah, we're celebrating 40 years of doing that now, which is a mighty long time, and to be out there. So we're coming to Ram's Head. We played there a lot. I feel like it's kind of a beautiful, like everybody knows us there. Everybody shows up for the music, and we all create a great energy in the room. So I'm looking forward to that. This year being 40 years, we're trying to hit on a lot of all the records. We're splitting it up into two sets, 2 hour sets, so that people can get a little break and we can play more music that way and fit in as much as possible. But um, it's not so much a celebration of like Bodine's just touring for 40 years. It's really, to me, a celebration of the fans in the band. You know, people have been there for us for 40 years and some for 20 years or 10 years or whatever, but it's a long time that we've been singing these songs together. My purpose has always been to try to come to your town and make people feel good for a night. So 40 years of that, I think, is worth celebrating. So that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird with my fanboy of your band, and I had to think about this woman I worked with at the sports department at the Baltimore Sun. Her name was Marcy Hartle, and she loved your band. She was from Buffalo. She had a funny Western New York accent, but she loved your band. She always wanted me to interview your band and talk to your band. And one night, the U2 was playing at down in Norfolk, Virginia. You played the Hampton Roads Coliseum, and you were the
Yeah.
opening band. Now you're laughing. They were filming parts of Rattle and Hum at that period of time, and I had sort of a side backstage seat in that crazy old arena there. And you opened for the biggest band in the world, and I noticed you. And I came back to the office, and Marcy's like, "Bodine's open. They're the great. They're Heartland rock and roll Americana." And she got me like really turned on to you. And I think all these years later, whenever I hold Love and Hope and Sex and Dreams, and obviously Still Surviving on the Streets, a great rock and roll reference unto itself, I think of T Bone Burnett, who I had a chance to see perform at various points. His work with all sorts of bands. When you see it or hear it or think of those songs, does he pop into the world for where your world was 40 years ago?
Yeah. First of all, let me just say the Hampton Arena show was the only show out of like 30 shows we played with you two where they actually came on stage with us and sang one of our songs, which I have a recording of if anyone's looking for it. We
I want
sang
it.
our
I
song.
want it. I was there that night. You can hear me sing in the back.
We sang Good Work with them, and they were great fans of the band, and we had a great time with them. But to the subject of T-Bone, yeah, I always talk about T-Bone when I'm speaking interviews with people because I think it was such a great choice to work with him first and foremost on our first record and really show us what making a great record was about rather than trying to make just a trendy current record. He made us dig into what it takes to create a record that's going to last and people are going to always love. And it may not have been what a major label like Warner Brothers wanted, but it was the best thing for us, that's for sure. And he gave us that. He taught us what making great songs, making great records were really about, and stuff that would last a long time, which is what we wanted to do. We didn't want to just come in and then disappear after one record. So he set that standard for us and taught me a lot about making records. And I say to people all the time, I would work with him anywhere, anytime at the drop of a hat because he's a really great person. His knowledge of music, his knowledge of history and life, he's just a great person to have around anytime you're working on something creative like songwriting.
What do you hear when you said he taught you so much? What's the overriding advice or one little piece or something you remember that it comes back to you every time you record music? Because I find
Yeah,
that as I get older, and I'm getting older as well, the mentors you had all those years ago, there really is a little like in the Flintstones, the great kazoo would come and give that wisdom. And once it's imparted on you, whether it's a father or friend, whoever it is, but I would think, given his stature and you being young and impressionable at that point, I would think that you bring that with you everywhere you go, right?
yeah, yeah. No, he would a lot of bands go into the studio and they're like, oh, I want to get my great guitar sound, or I want to get this big giant snare drum sound, or I want this trendy sound or something. But with T-Bone, we never ever worried about the sounds that we were recording ever. We we talked about the songs. He used to say you need to get to the soul of the song, and so we would just play songs completely different than we ever had. We would play a fast song like a slow song like a fast song, and just change stuff. And T-Bone would come in with his actual like moods. We would talk about like I'm feeling this way today, I'm pissed or I'm happy or whatever. And all that is really part of the process. It's really part of being a human being, but it wasn't just like, let's get this specific sound that might get on the radio. It was like, create a song that people want to sing 20 years from now, and that's what he brought to the project. It's what I really thought was the most incredible advice we could get early on in our career because we were listening to great singer songwriters like the Everly Brothers or Springsteen or Tom Petty, these guys who really wrote great songs, great performances and stuff, and that really mattered to us to do that. So he was the perfect producer for that. Didn't try to change who we were, tried to develop who we were. One of the earliest things he said to us the first time he came to see us live was, you all need to go home and learn how to play your instruments, because we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew we had a lot of energy to do it with. So I think he took that and worked with it as best as he could, like this is what these guys do over there. So that's what we're going to do. And not every producer does that. I've worked with plenty of producers who said, go do what I do, and I'm just like, why don't you go do what you do? Because I have no idea what you do.
Kurt Neumann is our guest. He is the founding member of Bodeans. They're going to be playing in Rams Head, Annapolis. And anytime I have anybody on who has played that venue, um, and I've been to a lot of venues. I don't need to tell you. I've seen your band all over the place and all sorts of bands. I run around at this point and try to go to places. Like I finally made it to the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, the little Circle Theater that was like Painter's Mill here. All these years later, it's like a National Historic Landmark. So I go to these places, and maybe I take Ram's Head for granted for how peculiar and unique and dinner theatery and small and intimate it is. I mean, it was so intimate the last time you played here 2 years ago. You played
Yeah,
like Take It Tomorrow. You played like a really rare song, and I had Jack Wagons talking during it. And I'm like, shh, the fuck up. Like there's a little bit of that goes on, I think, at small venues. And now
yeah,
you've had the cell phone era where everybody's recording everything. But Ram's Head's
yeah.
like, of all the places you play, it ain't Ravinia, right? I mean, it's not. It's a different kind of place.
Yeah, no, people are right on top of you. You really can't fake it there. They see everything that's happening because they're 3 feet away, so they're really feeling the music. They're really feeling where we're at. You can't fake anything. And in an environment like that, I really like that, personally. I mean, I love playing big venues and big outdoor summer shows, but it's really nice to come into those intimate places and be right up there with people playing a song and them like singing it right along. They can feel it. I mean, they can really feel where you're at. And that's, I think, why people pay to go there and see a show because that's why it's called intimate, right? You're just right there with the performer. And so it's a wonderful room for that. And they've been great throughout the years, letting us come back and play there. And it's always packed full of people, and everyone's just kind of getting into it. It's a wonderful time.
My buddies from the Smithereens are playing there a couple weeks after you play, and I was always close with Pat before he passed away, and he did a living room tour. And I remember back in the day, he said to me, "I'm going to do a living room tour." And damn if he didn't. I mean, he played in people's living rooms, and he would come through
Yeah.
here every 6 months. And Ram's Head feels a little bit like it. It feels like if I hired your band and had you come and play at my place, that's what it would kind of feel like.
I
And
don't know
I
about
think
that.
that,
That
well,
might not be, that might be stretching it a little bit, but because I've played in people's houses, not as a hired performer, but when like people have asked me, they've had sick family members who were big fans who couldn't come to the show. And I've gone and played songs for them, and that's a whole different level of personal connection with somebody who's sick and struggling, and you're right there with them in their home. I would say, Ram's Head certainly a step away from that, but I get you, to your point. It's very much very close, and
Well, there's no place I see where your band plays in all these strange towns in the Midwest, and I'm thinking, hey, maybe I'll sneak in and do that and do something else, or see you play in all sorts of towns. And I think it won't be like seeing you at Ram's Head though, because Ram's Head's a little different in that way. Your
it
set
might
list,
not. Yeah, it
yeah.
might be different because sometimes we're in bigger venues. We just played 1,800 seater the other night in Illinois. So, it can be different and not as intimate, certainly. On the East Coast, we play a lot of smaller, intimate, more clubs, and it's great. It's great for people to see us. And it wasn't always the case, but it's nice to be able to do it now. And I love having people close. A lot of times though, speaking of those weird shows you're playing somewhere, I'll meet someone after the show, they'll be like, "Yeah, I flew in from Cincinnati." I'm just like, "What?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, I just saw you were playing and I just wanted to come see you." And so people are traveling a lot more these days. And it's weird how many people just like, "Oh, they're there tonight. I'll go see them." And they just fly off and see your show. It's really interesting.
Well, I do that. I just got back from South America chasing ACDC and Brian Adams, having a good time. And I've been in the sports space and every arena, every stadium, Super Bowls and all that. I like seeing new places and
Yeah.
seeing the life that you have as a musician, touring and seeing towns and seeing unique places. But you put the set list together and I'm coming down to see the show. Other than allowing me to do your set list, how do you keep it from turning into a bit of a jukebox to some degree? Because we all want to hear, the hits. And once Closer to Free happened for your band, things really changed around that song and around who was coming to see your shows
Yeah.
at that point. But I think a lot of that's fallen out at this point. And I don't think there's anything you could pull out of your back catalog. And you surprised me 2 years ago pulling something out. I'm like, wow, he's pulled that
Yeah.
out. Next thing you know, he's going to pull out something for Forever on My Mind or something for me. But for you, in doing this with your band and learning songs and bringing them out and presenting them. And I think I had you on right after COVID where you were doing some wacky stuff on COVID, mixing songs, doing videos, reworking your own music in some
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
What are you bringing to town here this time?
Well, with every band, there are favorites you want to play for people because they love them. So, there is a part of the set list that does become that. It doesn't get stale for me because people love the songs and they bring great energy to them. But every year, I do try to add a few new ones for people that they wouldn't expect, to give them something different, something new. And because we have a lot of songs, we try to change it up, so it's not the same every night. And there's some differences and keep it fresh for everybody. We're also doing kind of a video playback with the music, which is going through the years and date stamping it all so people can remember back when that year, like, "Oh, I remember that record. I remember that song." So some of that works together. So it restricts us a little bit because we want the whole presentation to go together. So it's not so much just to call out a song, although we know quite a few songs. So we do the best we can to accommodate, what people want to hear. But I'm always trying to make it fresh and keep things interesting and play something a little unexpected for people.
How much did Closer to Free really change things for you? I noticed it as a fan of your band that once it
It didn't
happened.
that much.
Well,
It didn't that.
when you played it, the crowd, it felt like there was a point where the crowd, like,
Yeah.
that was recognizable to them,
Yeah.
where I had 5 albums underneath and gosh, that song was a year and a half before it wound up on the television show. I knew that song well as an album
Yeah,
track, and then all of a sudden it became the track that
yeah,
people know you by, but they would know you by you don't get much or good. The fans of your band would know that. The people that
yeah,
came to you through Closer to Free, that was a seminal moment for your band where I felt like it changed. And I felt like, gosh, they're finally making a lot of money. I was happy for you guys, you know.
yeah. The funny thing is, it didn't really boost our sales like people would think a hit single would. Maybe because it had been out 3 years before that and stuff. I think it introduced us to a lot of people around the world. Um, but from our fans' perspective, they had already picked their favorite songs, and they knew Closer to Free. They liked it. It's a great rock and roll song. Um, but for them, I think Good Things is still the biggest song for fans and Still the Night. These songs that they've been able to sing along with the way they do, they're always happy to hear Closer to Free because it's got great energy. But I think they still have their favorites that they still like. So it was a little weird having the Closer to Free thing happen because longtime fans, our fan base didn't really connect with us all of a sudden having just one hit single and some new people coming in discover for that song. They were more educated on our whole catalog, so they liked everything. So once that year kind of passed and we were able to get back to just being their band again, I think a lot of our fans were happier about it, because we weren't restricted to being a one hit wonder as much as we were their band that played their favorite songs again.
Saw you do something several times on a tour, and it's going back 30 years ago, where you quieted the entire room to hear a pin drop. And I've seen Springsteen do this too. And so you got to be quiet for this one. And you literally went straight acoustic, not even into the microphone, doing Only Love. You don't do that anymore, do you? It's been a long
Well,
time since you've done that because it's such a party trick. I mean, it's one of the cool rock
yeah.
and roll things I've ever seen done.
Yeah, no, it's great. It requires a certain kind of room and a certain kind of audience. You can't pull that off everywhere. I mean, maybe Springsteen can, but for us, it had to really be in a theater situation where people were sitting down and it wasn't so much a bar and food and noise and waitress kind of restaurant or something like that venue, because then you can really quiet them down and then it works. I would always be up for doing it though when it to make it work like that because it was a wonderful thing to do and really the way theaters were originally set up to do, plays and music both. And so when we can, I love it, but sometimes it's just not possible.
Saw Bruce play the Minnesota show too. He was flying off and doing crazy things. I flew to Minnesota 2 weeks ago to see the first night of the tour and the Americana part of that. You were always associated with my hometown, and you've done the cover on the Springsteen thing. That's going back almost 30 years ago, and that's been a part of your show most of the time when I've seen you in the modern era. What was it about that song that connected with you? And I always think of you, and the first time I interviewed you and Sam 40 years ago was Waukesha, and talking about Home was the name of the album, and making that album in the sweaty summer, sultry heat of Milwaukee and Wisconsin summers. My hometown and your connection to that song. And maybe I don't listen to your music and hear Springsteen, but maybe I have maybe more
Sure.
Nebraska sort of feeling of the spare part of that. But my hometown really
So,
connected with you and it became part of your identity to some degree. You play it.
yeah. Yeah. No, I wrote My Hometown or My Song because the folks at Netflix were looking for specific songs about hometown, small town America. So they literally asked me to write songs with that theme. I wrote about 4 or 5 different ideas for them, one of them being my hometown. And that's the one they picked. And so I worked on that one for them and developed it so they could use it in their show. At one point, one of the producers really wanted it as the theme song for the show. So that's what it was. That's what I really wrote it about. And I think it came out as a really good song. So for years, I would just travel and play it with people because of that kind of pushing the whole Netflix show because they had worked with me. I had done so much music for them. It was a great working relationship. But now I play it because, yeah, people really identified with it and connected with it. So it wasn't really about necessarily I was trying to write a song just like Springsteen. I was just trying to write a song about your family and your community and growing up in small town America and what it feels like and how it becomes your hometown, which is really those people and those experiences you had, no matter where it was. That's what makes it your hometown. And so that's what I was trying to really convey with that message.
Well, I remember so many years ago when you did She's a Runaway, you would do the Del Shannon part into that. It almost feels like an
Yeah.
extension of a song
Yeah.
you heard and saying, here's my interpretation and let me add to it
Yeah.
and take it in my own direction to some degree.
Yeah, certainly. We grew up inspired by all the music that was going on around us. And early on, I tell people it was the AM radio when I was a kid that inspired me. And as we grew up, Springsteen, Petty, all those great rock and roll bands of that era were, and it's the Rolling Stones, all of them, great inspiration to us and what we were doing. So you want to honor them back, because when we were first starting, we played their songs and then we ended up learning how to write our own, but they were certainly an inspiration in those.
Was there somebody you tried to sing like?
What's that?
Was there somebody you tried to sing like that you would emulate? And you have
I
a
no,
beautiful voice and it's yours, but I try to think about like who those influences were in the 70s.
here's the thing. I grew up as a drummer most of my whole life. I didn't pick up a guitar till I graduated high school and wanted to learn how to write songs. So I was really happy sitting in the back of the stage playing drums. I loved playing the drums. I was really good at it. Somehow I got kind of stuck in the guitar road, which was okay. It was interesting. I was trying to learn it, but then they were like, "Oh, you should sing some songs too." I had never sang a song in my life before that, ever. So when I'm singing a song, for me, I'm just white knuckling it the whole time. I don't consider myself like a singer-songwriter, but I am a singer-songwriter. So I'm kind of doing the best I can with it, is what I try to do with singing. But is trying to emulate someone, I wouldn't even go that far because other people are such good singers. I'm just trying to hang in there.
Well, you've been doing all right for 40 years, and I guess,
It's
I
weird.
listen. I love having you on the show and being a part of this. And I know your personality, I think, is a little bit more shy to not do all of these things all of these years. I did not know you were a drummer. I guess I just learned something about you all
Oh,
these years.
I drumming is my natural instrument. I can play drums to anything, anywhere, anytime, and not even have to think about it. So that's easy. Singing and playing songs is a lot harder for me. It's not where I grew up doing it, and it wasn't natural for me. So um, it's weird because when I found myself out in Hollywood with T Bone Burnett singing songs, he picked Fade Away as the first single. It wasn't us, and I had only been singing for a couple of years then. So it was very strange for me to be singing a song that became our first single and then became our first video and everything. And in my mind, I wasn't a singer, so I was always trying to make sense out of it, and it's still going. And you're right, it's pretty incredible that I'm still doing it because I had never planned on it. It just kind of happened on its own.
Well, in the first 25 years, you had a partner in your band and Sam where I'm assuming you wrote things
Yeah,
together. I would get the album, I'd rip it out, whether it was Blend or whatever it was, or Red Roses or new songs, and say, well, that's a Sam song, that's a Kurt song. And it felt like you probably sang the songs you wrote, and maybe there was some overlap, and certainly your harmonies in the Everly Brothers part of what you did. Then he's gone, and now you're writing. I mean, to some degree, you get empowered, and to some degree, you're missing that left arm for a period of
yeah.
time.
No, it
How
took
normalized has that gotten for you?
massive amount of readjustment, when everything went down. Um, it was a real struggle to carry on. And what I had said is I'm leaving it up to the fans because I don't know what's going to happen here, really. And people showed up and they really helped me. I mean, they really stayed. There was a real foundation, and it gave me a break on trying to find where it was all going to end up, and continued to show up and sing with me and support me. Now I'm singing with James Hurtless, who plays bass, and he's got that register that works with my voice so well. So it's back to that kind of ringing harmony sound again, which was hard to find. It takes a long time you don't just walk out and find someone else to do that. But James is just, he's doing such a great job, and it's so much fun singing with him again, to have someone where your voices work together again like that.
My shirt that you're wearing that I got a couple years ago, I was going to grab it and play it,
Well,
do a little video thing about your, because it's colorful and it's fun and I wear it all the time. Um, I remember the night I showed up at Ram's Head and Sam wasn't in the band anymore, and I looked up and I'm like, well, what happened? And then I read, and as we're 15 years gone on all of that, I felt some loyalty to you as a fan and as a music
yeah,
guy and out on the road. And you were the one taking the name, bringing the music, bringing it out. And I'm like, I wonder what he's going to do. And Stefano and the different guys in your band and talking to them over the period of time. I even ran into Ramos doing the Jim Irsay band stuff with Mike Mills a number of years ago, and I wound up at a Four Seasons in New York City talking about Bodeans with him at 2 o'clock in the morning one night. I think for your fans that are still there that come and love this music, whether they just love a couple of the
yeah.
songs or whether they're a deep catalog nut like me from 40 years ago that wants to hear really weird, obscure stuff that you may or may not play, and I'm crossing my fingers in a general sense. The loyalty to you when you do come out, I know how appreciative anyone that's been in a band that's had a breakup or is a different kind of band, that there is a point where, picking sides and all of that and the divorce. I have you circled. I have Bodine circled. I'm excited about coming out and seeing you. And I know you are appreciative of all the people that have done this. I sense that when
Oh,
I'm there because it really is sort
yeah,
of a fellowship of all of us who love your music, having that one
yeah,
night, that Super Bowl, we get to come out and sing together. It's fun.
yeah. Well, to me, um, it's the band is always about that connection you have, that energy you make, and then you make all these great songs that you wanna. They feel to me, they feel like they had their own life, and they create memories and they create experiences with other people. It's not so much about I'm standing here and I'm such a great performer. I'm not Prince, I'm not. I always felt like I was just part of the experience that was going on in the room, and that we were all in it together. And so when I carried on with Bodeans, that's what I wanted to do. It was like, hey, we have all these great songs and we have all these experiences together. I'm happy to keep playing my part in it. And if y'all want to join me, that's great. That was kind of my perspective on it. And so it still is, and people still are showing up to participate in it. I'm just there to have a good time like everybody else is. And that's why I'm there. And together we create that. And so it's still going on. I'm still having fun doing it. People are still showing up singing with us, having fun. So it works out.
Well, I will be having fun and singing with you. Bodeans is playing down at Ramshead. I want to make sure I get the date right here because they are in the area and they're touring on the East Coast. It is Friday, May the 8th. So we'll be down at Ramshead, Annapolis. I will have my shirt on, singing good
There you go.
things, and I'll have it all pressed that you cut yours all up. Mine's still old
Yeah.
school.
This is for working out.
That's showing off your muscles. That's all good.
Yeah.
New music and things you're working on. When you're not out with the band doing stuff and you're back and mixing things together. And I always ask older musicians like yourself. This used to be like you said you weren't Prince, but you went to Paisley Park. I still haven't been there yet, and did an album. Going off and producing an album with a T Bone Burnett or whatever, a little different than being in the basement, but I'm sure, I'm not sure, I know. I mean, I saw your COVID
Oh, yeah.
act. You have all the buttons,
Yeah.
all the tools, all the fun, all the guitars. You are a drummer making sounds. Do you fiddle with making new music as a course of like getting up and having a cup of coffee in the morning when you're home? Because, I mean, you're a musician, it's what you do, right?
Yeah. 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 No, music is just, it's always been there, part of my everyday life. So yeah, I'll pick up a guitar throughout the day, and I'm constantly putting down song ideas, and I'm constantly creating demos of new songs and seeing where they go, how far they go, looking for stuff that works really naturally and simply, and concentrating on that. But yeah, it's still a big part of my life. I have about 15, 20 songs recorded right now, new stuff that, I'm considering finding somewhere to get them out in the next year or so. Maybe next spring or something. I'll be coming out with a new record full of stuff. I'm always trying to get stuff out to people, but I want it to be good, and I want, it to make sense for people. And these days, music is released real differently than it used to be. So I leave all that to, put it in someone else's hands to figure out how to get it out there good.
Well, I'm looking forward to the show, and I would be self-indulgent, make requests, and ask you why I haven't played Red Roses in a while, and some stuff that shows up in my playlist that's personal to me. But that's the beauty of all of this, and the music you made with Sam 40 years ago, and it's all of my. If I want it, it's there on demand for me to set a mood, to think of a memory or a night that I saw you in Tampa at a bar 35 years ago, or over at Shriver Hall, or the places you've been, or even that night with you too down at Hampton Roads. But for you to come out and play the music, are there things that rehearse that don't make it to a stage, or is it's a job and we need to deliver it? Do you bring extra songs with you in your repertoire to pull out?
We're always trying new songs out at shows, and then I kind of judge the audience response to it. If it's something they really were happy to hear, glad to hear. I like doing that. I like kind of basing it on how they feel about it. I don't want to just pound some set list down their throat. I want it to be feeling good to everybody. And a lot of times people contact me about songs and stuff, and I'll consider, or we'll try it and see how well it, translates to the audience and stuff like that. But I have to say, people come out to see us, they really are looking for that energy, and they really like the high energy stuff. So a lot of our set ends up being that up energy, and sometimes I try to slow it down for a song or two, and they're just like, come on. So it's hard to really fit in the soft stuff as much as I might in another scenario. But
I can go play in my basement right now if I want.
I
If I
thought
knew
as
to
I
hear
got
it that
older,
bad.
like this, people might want to slow down, but they don't. They want it to rock. They want it to be up and uplifting, and so a lot of what we do is that.
Well, it's good work if you can get it, and you still have the
Yeah.
work. So, my thanks to you for all the years of the music. I'm always, especially with guys like you, that you have no idea what a big fan I am. I just want to say thanks for rocking me out and putting me in different moods. And when a song comes on, I don't ever go through your song. I don't ever, forward ahead. I'm always ready for a Bodine song. So, my thanks to you, and my thanks to you for still putting the band together and coming out, being healthy and being able to perform. And I know that May 8th is going to be a great night for me in Annapolis. I got to circle, my friend.
It's going to be a good time. I appreciate all your time. I appreciate the interview, and I appreciate all the fans. Please come out and sing with us. We have a great time, and I will see you soon, probably, right?
All right, you got to go crazy one night a year, so we'll do that on May
Gotta
8th.
go crazy. That's right.
Absolutely, you're going nuts if you don't. Kurt Neumann is here. He is the founding member of Bodeans. They are coming back, and if you have never listened to the Bodeans, you just heard the Party Five song or whatever, go deeper into the catalog. People always say, "What music are you listening to?" I'm listening to some great stuff that was written years ago that some people have managed to miss. So I want to make sure they don't miss you, and they won't miss you on May 8th. Kurt, thanks for always making time. My thanks to Barb and your staff as well for making
Thank you
this
so
happen. Thank
much.
you.
And it will be her birthday when we're there that night. So
Is she shellfish intolerant? I know where to get a good crab cake. I'm a crab cake guy
she
here.
is not.
All right. Well, if she likes some crab, you're in Maryland. You're in Annapolis,
She
Maryland.
is not a seafood person at all.
All right, I'll get
She's
her a steak or some
very
chicken or
particular.
something
She
like that, some
likes
veggies or something.
diamonds and stuff like that.
Well, it's her birthday, so we're gonna. I have a feeling you might sing her a special song that night, or we might work that out. I'll start yelling
I
from the back
try.
of Ramshead. If you yell from the
I
back of
try.
Ramshead to the front, you'll definitely hear me. There's no
Every time
question
I've
about that.
tried to do that, something has gone terribly wrong during it. So like now we just let it all happen.
All right, we'll get cake.
But
Okay, we'll
it'll
bring
be
some
fun.
cake for her. My
It'll be a
thanks to
good
you
time.
and to her. And Bodeans, one of my favorite bands, and they always stop by and say hello, and they stop by and play here too. So that's good. I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, rocking your world. And Luke will keep you up on everything going on with the Orioles and the Ravens too. We're Baltimore positive. Stay with us.